Good evening. We're doing chapter 9, which is compassion. It's page 151 in the book that I have. This week finds us facing the internal blocks to creativity. Internal ones, okay? It may be tempting to abandon ship at this point. Don't. We will explore and acknowledge the emotional difficulties that beset us in the past as we make creative efforts. We will undertake healing the shame of past failures. We will gain in compassion as we reparent the frightened artist child who yearns for creative accomplishment. We will learn tools to dismantle emotional blocks and support renewed risk. We're going to read a little bit more on the bottom of 9. It says, blocked artists aren't lazy, in italics there. They're blocked. Being blocked and being lazy are two different things. The blocked artist typically expends a great deal of energy, just not visibly. The blocked artist spends energy on self-hatred, on regret, on grief, and on jealousy. That's what they're doing behind the scenes. The blocked artist spends energy on self-doubt. The blocked artist does not know how to begin with baby steps. Instead, the blocked artist thinks in terms of great, big, scary, impossible tasks. A novel, a feature film, a book, a one-person show, an opera. I added the word book, but for me that's scary. When these large tasks are not accomplished or begun, the blocked artist calls that laziness. Do not call the inability to start laziness. Call it fear. Fear is the true name of what ails the blocked artist. It may be fear of failure, fear of success. Most frequently, it is fear of abandonment. This fear has roots in childhood reality. Okay. So what do we just learn? We learned that block artists spend a lot of time thinking on self-hatred, on regret, on grief, on jealousy. Think about that, ladies. Self-doubt. Many can only think of all these impossible tasks ahead of them instead of breaking up the project into smaller steps. So that fear of failure might be, I must be a great artist to justify my rebellious attitude for pursuing it. So you're just, I'm an artist and I must justify it. Or the fear of success, not being good enough, not finishing. Or just, of even starting the process. Or like a fear of abandonment, which is like a root in your childhood reality. So when we set these impossible goals, it's going to cause fear for us. It's better to break it down into these small steps. It's more of a procrastination than a laziness. So when she talks about this fear, what's the cure for fear? Don't all raise your hands at once. How about love? What? Okay, well that sounds good, Jess. How does that happen? Who's love? The creator? Meditate on that for a minute. What's the cure for fear? Connection with the creator. Love from the creator. She talks about enthusiasm, itch. And she talks about discipline and how it can be a trap. Here, I'll read. 153. As artists, grounding our self-image in military discipline is dangerous. In the short run, discipline may work, but it will work only for a while. By its very nature, discipline is rooted in self-admiration. Think of discipline as a battery, useful but short-lived. Okay, I never thought about it like that. We admire ourselves for being so wonderful. The discipline itself, not the creative outflow, becomes the point. Oh yeah, I work out every day, I do whatever, I'm disciplined in my eating, whatever, right? Those are all good things, but does that become like a new God? I don't know why that just popped in my head as I read that, but the battery, it's short-lived. But are we admiring ourselves for being wonderful by following our discipline? What's our motive there? Okay, anyway, sorry. That part of us that creates best is not a driven, disciplined automation functioning from willpower with a booster of pride to back it up. Ooh. That's operating out of self-will. You know the image, rising at dawn with military precision, saluting the desk, the easel, the drawing board. Over any extended period of time, being an artist requires enthusiasm more than discipline. So you gotta be passionate about it, right? Enthusiasm is not an emotional state. Okay, so maybe not. It's a spiritual commitment. Okay, this is like mind-blowing as I reread it with you. Okay? Let that sink in. A loving surrender to the process, a loving recognition of all the creativity around us, like out here. Enthusiasm, from the Greek, means filled with God, is an ongoing energy supply tapped into the flow of life itself. Enthusiasm is grounded in play, not work. Far from being a brain-numb soldier, our artist is actually our child within, our inner playmate. And as with playmates, it is joy, not duty, to make a lasting bond. True, our artist may rise at dawn to greet the typewriter or easel with morning stillness, but the event has more to do with the child's love of secret adventure in the morning, right, than with an ironclad discipline. Do you wake up enthusiastic? What other people view as discipline is actually a play date, which you can do at 6 a.m., right? And we'll goof around with the script. Goof, I like that. Or the painting, the sculpture. Our artist child can best be enticed to work by treating the work as play. If you just sit down and treat what you're doing as, and that's a perspective, isn't it? That's a perspective. That's wrapping your brain about what you're thinking about. Okay. Awesome. So what did we learn? We learned that enthusiasm's a trap. It's rooted in the self-admiration and accomplishments. Discipline is. It's important to realize that we need the enthusiasm versus the discipline. It's not emotional, it's spiritual. And we must lovingly surrender to the creative process, okay? We must lovingly recognize the creativity around us. Our work becomes play spaces. She talks about creative U-turns. What are those? This unblocking yourself is serious business, isn't it? All right, 154. Recovering from artist block, like recovering from any major illness or injury, requires a commitment to health. At some point, we must make an active choice to relinquish the joys and privileges according to the emotional invalid. A productive artist is quite often a happy person. This can be very threatening as a self-concept to those who are used to getting their needs met by being unhappy. Wait, what? What are we starting to talk about here? All right. Focus in, ladies. It's gonna get a little thick in here. Pre-warning, some smackdowns coming. Hello, my name is Jessica, and I am your friend. I am. I'd love to, but you see, I have these crippling fears. It can get us a lot of attention. We get more sympathy as crippled artists than functional ones. Those of us addicted to sympathy in place of creativity can become increasingly threatened as we become increasingly functional. Many recovering artists become so threatened they make U-turns and they start sabotaging themselves. Okay, what are we talking about here? We usually commit creative harakiri either way on the eve or in the wake of the first creative victory. A glare of success, a poem, an acting job, a song, a short story, a film, any kind of success, anything that's worth brag-worthy, maybe, right? Can send the recovering artist to scurry back into the cave of self-defeat. Are more comfortable being a victim of artist block than risking having to consistently be productive and healthy. Okay. So yeah, these were like one-hit wonders for us, right? We're not going to continue to produce for the sake of the process, not the product, right? I like how that ends with being productive and healthy. So first we need this commitment to health. Okay. And that's where Sozo comes in. The word Sozo in the Greek means saved, healed, delivered, and it even means to prosper, and it means now here, not just when you're in heaven. That is available now, bringing heaven down, receiving those blessings and healings and situations with the Lord. You can live that way now. In the Bible, John 5:5-6 is my life verse, at least up till this point, because it has to deal with this concept of the pity. It's a story at the pool of Bethesda. Guy's 38 years old, he's an invalid, sitting on the side, help me, pick up your man, But the part that gets me in John 5:5-6 is in the Amplified, because it's a very short verse. It's like, do you really and wholeheartedly want to be well, is what the translation is. It's what is being asked of the man. Do you want that? And do it. And it sounds so simple, like, oh, okay. But do you really want it? Because some of us don't. And we think we want it, but some of us subconsciously don't. Why? Instead, many of us give in to the fear, the crippling fears that we have about health, wellness. Instead, we'd rather root our identities in the illness, in the disease, in the unprocessed grief. Are you aware that we can get lots of attention for identifying with this stuff? This is subconscious, guys. This isn't like, or gals. I realize you're not sitting around like twirling your long mustache, like, how can I get more attention? Like, people misunderstand. Back up. But by identifying with the illness or the disease, the unprocessed grief or the pain, holding on to it versus healing, because yes, you got to talk about stuff. I get it. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying talking about or processing your pain is wrong. It's not. But when it becomes your mantra, your chief complaint, the things you have to make sure that everyone knows about, especially if they're new, they have to be up to speed on what's up with you in these regards, right? Think about that for a minute. You want to identify with all that pain, make sure that this person knows about it. They have to be up to speed on your level of pain. What is that? What's that motive? Why is that necessary? Why is it necessary to share that all with a new person? It's usually subconsciously something you're getting out of it. Okay, subconsciously, this isn't something intentional you're doing. So that's why this chapter is called Compassion. You're getting something out of it by talking about it. And truthfully, many of us feed off that attention, even if it's negative. And we get this attention from being stuck, victimized, or sick. It's a trap. If you're sick, I'm not saying you don't ask for prayer and be real as in how it's going. But you got to speak life into yourself. And there's all kinds of sickness. It's not all physical sickness, okay? These emotional states create sympathy for ourselves, and they can cripple us as artists. Do you know that you can be addicted to sympathy? I know in my life, I had to acknowledge at one point that I was much more comfortable being the victim, stuck in that self-pity, than actually climbing out. I needed help realizing that by people that loved me well enough to tell me. And it hurt, and at first I was mad, but in a desperate place, I struggled with mental illness, suicidal ideation, following through with a suicide plan, and, you know, God sparing my life. I've been there. But I can tell you I haven't. I believe I'm healed from that completely. I haven't had a suicidal thought since 2012. And I don't believe one's coming back at this point. Devil's got to try something else. That one's pretty ironclad for me. Whole nother testimony. So we need to stop self-sabotaging ourselves with this stuff. We need to stay accountable for our creative selves. And that's why we have these groups. Momentum and consistency is very important. A successful career or of art or anything else is built on successful creative failures. So in this chapter, it's called compassion because we need to have compassion for ourselves. We need to recognize our fears. Then we need to request, which is asking for help of the Creator. To recognize the fear, we need to ask ourselves where the fear is coming from. What obstacles are the most scary to me? Then we keep moving forward, and we coax ourselves like little children until we're finished that day. If we get stuck, we ask someone that's gone before us, someone that's experienced, but someone we trust. And we ask them for coaching. And we seek the Creator and then give our impact or, you know, our impression of what we got. That's what we share. And for me, that person's been Jenny. And in cases, Lisa too. Thank you. And others in my life from earlier days. Cindy, and there were others, you know, Tammy. There were people early in my walk. God used the people around me, and He changed those people, but those people have been great. Once we ask for help, we notice that the help arrives. So stop being a loner, especially a creative loner. Not everyone wants to steal your ideas. Yeah, there's going to be somebody comparing their stuff. Okay, let them do that. Don't get yourself wrapped up. This is a perspective change. Who else can we ask for help besides this cool lady sitting next to you? Look to your right, look to your left. Give them a smile. For me, that's the Holy Spirit. That's who I can ask. Pretty much always a bullseye answer too. So I don't know, I just get smart and want to go right to the source, right? Kind of like if you know there's gold buried somewhere, you're gonna go there, or if you know, I don't know, there's a million examples, just where you know there's gonna be the treasure, you're gonna go first, right? We all know where our bread gets buttered. Well, for me, that's the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit butters my bread. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You're such a weirdo. All right, blasting through the blocks. You got anger, which talks about dealing with anger. It starts with freeing ourselves from resentment and bitterness. Okay. So you have to look at your buried barriers. Okay, and then you think about your creative endeavors. First, list any resentments about those projects. Any fears you had, or anyone connected to those endeavors. Now rethink them again. Okay, so you're looking at your barriers, you're thinking about the creative things you've done. What are the resentments about the creative things you've done? What fears? Who's connected to it? I just said all those questions again because you really need to think through that. So I just repositioned it and said it a slightly different way. Hopefully the wheels are turning if you didn't already do this, or think about it when you read the chapter. Now rethink that again, okay? Is that all, she says? So after you started writing about some of that, is that all? That's literally the new question. So again, the first question is a series of questions, but it's kind of like when your 5-year-old says why, and then you give them an answer, and then they say why again, and then you keep like peeling back the onion. So think about the endeavors, each one, layer those back, resentments about those endeavors, fears attached to them, people connected to it, good and bad. Now rethink it again. Now just rethink what you've already written down. You don't have to rethink the questions. Is that all? And then just a general question. It doesn't even have to be about the stuff you were just writing about. It could be. Or something else. Is there more that you're angry about? Because sometimes once you just get revved up, it's like starting the mower, you know? Letting it out. And then you do a little freestyle in the middle. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassing myself. All right. But is there more you're angry about? It's like, yeah, let it out, shout, right? All right, now think about what you will gain by not doing the work right now. You're like halfway through. You took the time to do that bar. So now, are you gonna put it away and stuff it? But, oh yeah, that's it. And that's it? Or no, that's not it. And walk away, you're gonna stuff it and not finish because you're halfway done. It's like doing half of a workout. Like I would know. Usually skip the workout. But anyway, maybe someday I won't. Lord help me. All right. So think about what you're gaining by not doing the work, finishing. You're halfway through right now. Then make a deal with the creator. Make a deal with him. Yeah, he makes deals. If it's a good deal. Good papas make deals. Here's a good deal. You ready what the deal is? Here's a good deal. You deal with the quality of the relationship. And I, being the creator, will deal with the quantity, or what that looks like, how fast, how slow. And then proudly sign your work because we collaborated. Sign it. You're in the image of the creator. So together, write the name he gave you. Proudly sign your work. So quality in the relationship will give you the right quantity in every person that's different, who they impact or what comes out of them, at what level. And you can't do successes based on numbers. All right, the tasks were pretty powerful. They always are. Page All right. Before the tasks, one last thing. The blasting through blocks that we talked about, let's just read that. In order to work freely on a project, an artist must be at least functionally free, as I said, of the resentment and the anger and the resistance and the fear. What do we mean by that? That any buried barriers must be aired before the work can proceed. So you got to get them out first. The same holds true for any buried payoffs that aren't working. Blocks are seldom mysterious. They are instead recognizable artistic defenses against what is perceived, rightly or wrongly, as a hostile environment. Remember, your artist is that creative child. It sulks, it throws tantrums, holds grudges, harbors irrational fears. Like most children, it's afraid of the dark, the boogeyman, and any adventure that isn't safely scary. As your artist's parent and guardian, its big brother, its warrior, its champion, it falls on you to convince your artist it's safe to come out and work and play. Beginning any new project, it's a good idea to ask a few simple questions. These questions will move common bugaboos standing between you and your artist and the work. These same questions, when asked when work grows difficult or bogs down, usually will clear your obstructed flow. So here's the process that I explained. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a powerful exercise. You can do fatal damage and knock out your creative block. You want to knock it out? Do the exercise. I dare you. The resentment and anger, you're listing the fears. Is that all? I kind of just went through that. See, she's laying it out better, okay? I went through it in the Jessica version. Here she lays out step by step. Do this. I saw some of the artwork from the paper mosaics project. Okay, well, first of all, I just gave up because mine, halfway through, I did such little pieces, didn't interest me. I was just done, and I thought I'm not putting in this many hours for something that doesn't interest me. And I'm proud of myself that I could let that go. However, opposite extreme, we had all these ladies show up with these gorgeous little baby ones. They spent hours in their own time because there was something in it, in the meaning that came out. Oh, life-changing. Or gluing some paper on a board. Oh, the healing that happened from that. So praise the Creator for that. All right. You're allowed to read your morning pages. Did you see that in the task? Now you can go back and look. She talks about the markers. I love it. Visualizing, priorities, talking about the creative U-turns, forgiving yourself, back to that compassion piece. Let's check in.